All right. I see Craig. Craig, can you
I'm
hear
back.
me now?
I can.
Amazing. All right. We worked it out. So, folks, we have Craig Aaron on here from Free Press. Again, Craig, I already kind of gave you a little bit of an introduction, I think maybe when you couldn't hear me, and talked a little bit about how we've worked together on Battle for the Net and many other campaigns. But, real quick, can you just tell us, what is Free Press and why do you all fight so hard on this issue of net neutrality?
Sure. Free Press, we're a national organization. We've been around for the past 15 years, working on issues at the intersection of media, technology, and democracy. We work to transform media and technology to help realize a just society. We think net neutrality is an essential part of that, and we've been fighting for net neutrality basically since net neutrality has been an issue, all the way back to 2005, 2006, when the very first campaigns were lost on this issue. We continue to fight today. We think it is absolutely essential if we're going to have a free flowing internet, if we're going to have a functioning media system, to have these fundamental protections in place. And we're trying to throw, like our partners at Fight for the Future and Demand Progress and Center for Media Justice and everywhere else, everything we can at this, whether that's going to the Hill to advocate, as we did again this morning, whether that's suing the FCC in court, as we're doing, whether that's just continuing to spread the word about these threats and really push on decision makers to do the right thing and restore these fundamental protections that so many millions and millions of people support.
Thanks, Craig. And yeah, I mean, you mentioned, Free Press works on a range of issues. I was just reading some comments from internet users, including, someone that was talking about the importance of the internet for climate activism. There's so many pressing issues in the world right now, from climate change to healthcare to, voting rights and things like that. Why does this get you out of bed every day? Why do you think, fighting for the free and open internet is important in a world where there's so many other things that we could be putting our energies and efforts into?
Well, largely, Evan, because I think it's essential to advancing any of those larger causes. Whatever your issue is, you need to be able to communicate. If you have any hope of organizing in 2019, it's going to involve using the internet, using social media, being able to get your message out. And at its best, that's what the internet allows us to do. The internet allows anybody with something important to say, an issue to raise up, to compete with the biggest and most powerful gatekeepers. You don't have to have a column in the New York Times anymore to reach an audience. You don't have to have a show on CNN or MSNBC to be heard, to find your people, to organize. That's the beauty and power of the free and open internet. And so to me, whatever issue gets you out of bed in the morning, net neutrality is part of that issue, because without it, we're going to see more control by the powers that be, fewer opportunities for people to have their voices heard. And that's what net neutrality protects. That's why I think it is absolutely part of any struggle for social justice, any struggle for racial justice. Whatever your issue is that motivates you, you need the free and open internet to make it happen. And that's why net neutrality is so important. And I think that's why so many organizations, if we're talking about climate change, we're talking about groups like Greenpeace, Friends of the Earth, that have stepped up to say, wait, we care about net neutrality too, because anybody who's organizing today understands that without the internet, if you're talking about influencing Congress, if you're talking about moving decision makers, it's impossible without access to the free and open internet.
Awesome. Yeah. So, Craig, I just got word that we soon should be going live to the Senate, because I believe supporters of net neutrality in the Senate are going to be headed down to make a request for unanimous consent to try to force a vote, or at least some discussion and debate on the Save the Internet Act, 3-page bill that would essentially restore the net neutrality protections that never should have been taken away in the first place. So I'm not sure exactly when we're going to run out of time, but really quick, before we go there, just what can folks do if they want to make their voices heard on this today? In just a couple seconds, Craig.
Call your senators. We need the Senate to demand that this bill go to the floor, to tell the Republicans to remove any blocks or holds or obstacles to this bill. If you have a senator, especially a Republican senator, or you live in Arizona, you need to call them today and say, support the Save the Internet Act, get out of the way. It's an incredibly popular bill. The House version is exactly the bill we need in the Senate. they should unanimously approve it today or as soon as possible. That's what we need them to do. Your calls will make a difference to forcing this issue onto the floor and removing the obstacles that people like Mitch McConnell are trying to erect in its way.
Online just to charge.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Craig
You
Aaron.
got it, Evan. Thanks for doing this. Thanks to everybody at FIGHT.
Is that-